Welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network's Getting Sponsors video. In this video, I'm going to share with you a bulletproof method on how you can not only help offset your investment for hosting the show, but how you can actually get paid to be a radio show host with the Real Estate Radio Network. This is a simple three-phase process that you can almost fully execute from your computer. It's very important that you follow these steps exactly as they are laid out in this process in order to maximize your success. Just remember, this is a process that I have personally used to get paid six figures for hosting a radio show, just like you. No need to reinvent the wheel here. As a host of the Real Estate Radio Network, I'm teaching you my exact methods in this video. Phase 1 is where you will be building your interest list. We will not be discussing any specific packages at this point. All we're going to do is reach out to other service providers and see if they fit the mold of wanting to be on the air, helping to change people's lives for the better, and of course, growing their business. This will be most effective if you're targeting service providers that you already know are spending money on advertising. If you reach out to someone who is a networker or works only on referrals, you have much less success with this. Ideally, you will gain show partners and participants that will look at what we're offering as a complement to the other forms of advertising they are already currently executing. This is a sample of the initial correspondence you will make with a potential show participant. In this sample correspondence, which you can retrieve in the package under Getting Sponsors, you'll notice that the idea behind the email is to make them aware that the program exists. The great thing about this is, even if the potential service provider does not want to be a show participant, they will at least become aware of the show and you and the service you provide. Let's read the email quickly. Hi, name. I've got some exciting news. I've been selected by the Real Estate Radio Network to host a new radio show here in our city. The show doesn't start for several weeks, but part of my duty as the host is to find the best service providers in town to be a big part of the show, and you came to mind. If you're interested in coming on the air, promoting your service, and growing your business, let me know right away. Should be a lot of fun. Either way, hope you're doing well. We'll talk to you soon. Under the notes, you'll notice here, because we continue to provide information on how you can do this effectively, it says you want this to be simple. You don't want details. Do not reinvent the wheel here. Don't change this. Remember, when you're creating your interest list, the idea is to just get people who are interested conceptually to start thinking about the exciting part, which is promoting their business, coming on the air and having fun. That's the idea here. And that's why it says to let it soak for a little bit while you work out the sponsor packages and schedule the potential interview later. So you don't want this to be rapid fire. We want this to take some time. We want it to really soak in. We don't want anyone to make an emotional decision. We want them to really be interested, and this will help you find them. There are a multitude of different service providers and different industry professionals you can contact about being a show participant. This quick list is just to name a few, but the possibilities are almost endless. Anyone who wants to get their message delivered through the radio show can be a show participant. Remember, all of the show participants contract directly with the Real Estate Radio Network, so you are not limited to who can be involved with the radio show. Consult your show planner to find out specifically who is scheduled to come on the show soon so that you can start reaching out to those types of professionals. You might be wondering, where do I find these service providers? Do I just contact the people I already know? Definitely not. We'll go over that shortly. For now, Google is a great way to reach out. It's very easy to use Google to ultimately find service providers from any vertical. All you have to do is type in the city name and the vertical you're looking for. For example, bankruptcy attorneys, San Diego. When I hit search, instantly, not only is it going to pull up different bankruptcy attorneys in San Diego, it's going to give me their addresses, their phone numbers, and more importantly, access to their websites. One of the best things about these websites is that in almost every case, under the Contact Us section, you'll find a form email. This form email here allows you to make sure that your email that you're sending, the correspondence you're sending, is going to reach the individual. Now, you could just use their typical standard email address here, but that might get caught in spam. They may not see it. If you send a message through the contact form, you can be sure that they're going to receive it because they've set this up to make sure that they get those messages. It could be a potentially new client. It could be a very important message. So they've got that set up to make sure that it gets filtered and goes right to their inbox. This is the best place to contact any new service provider using this method. There are some pros and cons to working with people you know versus the people you don't when looking for show participants. However, it's important to give the people you know first right of refusal to be involved with the radio show, but don't count on them to just be in because you know them. Many times these people will think they are already getting all the business from you regarding whatever service it is they provide. So give them first right of refusal, but make them aware that you'll be contacting their competitors as well in your search for a show participant in their profession. Remember, it's your job as the host of the show to line up the show participants and the contributors. Make sure they know you are following orders from headquarters on this one. At the same time, people you don't know are much more likely to be interested in developing a new relationship with you and will typically show more interest. I know it sounds strange, but it's true. Trust me. This is why we use the online method to create the interest list and never rely solely on just the people we know. After sending out your initial emails to build your interest list, you'll want to wait 5 to 7 days before starting phase 2 of this process. It's important to wait a little to start this phase so you can give anyone who showed interest the time to start really thinking about the fact that they have a chance to be involved with the new radio show. Give them time to visualize themselves behind the mic, on a soapbox, spouting their opinion to the world. This will also allow time for a few stragglers to come in from your initial email campaign. People who either don't check email much, lost you in their spam folder, or initially disregarded it but went back and became interested. Now it's time to do the interview. When doing the interview, it's very important that you meet with the service provider at their place of business. When you arrive, you need to let them know you're on a tight time schedule. Pick a time about 30 to 40 minutes out and let them know you have a hard break at that time. This will help keep things in focus. You are interviewing them, not the other way around. If the service provider you're meeting with starts to ask you questions about your business or how much it costs or anything that's not in line with the interview you're conducting, just simply say, "Bob, I'd love to talk with you about the details and I'd love to share with you what I do and how I help people, but we're on a tight time schedule and I've got other interviews to do this week within your profession. It's really important for me to find the perfect fit for the radio show, so I have to focus on that with the brief time we have today. If I think you're a good fit, we will have plenty of time to go over everything else." Don't forget to reference in the package under creating sponsorships, we've created a document that tells you exactly how to conduct the interview. Not only that, but exactly what questions to ask as well. Make sure you're using the resources we provided if you want to maximize this system. You need to really stick to your timetable you originally established when first sitting down. So when that time comes, no matter what's going on, jump out of your seat and shake their hand. If you like the person and think they will provide good services to your listeners and be good on the air, let them know. "Bob, I've interviewed several bankruptcy attorneys this week and I want you to know you're my new number one. I'll be in touch with you soon either way once a final decision is made." Don't follow up with anyone you've interviewed until at least 3 days after you did the interview with them. Again, we need them to feel like they're one step closer to getting a place within our show, but they need to be able to see it, smell it, and not quite taste it just yet. You'll want to let them know, either over the phone or by email, that you've selected that specific service provider as your number one choice to represent their industry on your radio show. Make sure you do this separately from presenting their options as a show participant. When you give them the good news, let them know you'll be sending over an additional email that outlines the different options available. and that you need to know what they prefer soon so you can submit everything to headquarters for approval. Remember, all of the packages have been pre-created by the Real Estate Radio Network. You do not need to go into closing mode here necessarily. All you need to do is make the network aware of the service provider you've chosen, and we will send to them the specific packaging that they need based on their profession. There are 3 different methods a service provider can use to advertise their business on the radio. Most radio stations only offer ads to their clients. However, the clearly more effective and more efficient way to advertise are with endorsements directly from the host of the show and in live appearances on the air. We provide all 3 of these options for our show participants so we can make sure they maximize effectiveness and ROI with regard to the investment they've made in the radio show. This is a really big deal and should be emphasized in every single meeting or correspondence with any potential show participant. When you are finalizing this show participant as your number 1 choice in the community, it's very important to use the right language. Remember, you are not a salesperson here. You are the gatekeeper in the process of selecting the best local service providers in their industry to receive your personal recommendation on the air. You will be putting your name on their service, so you have to choose wisely. By this time, they have received the information on what it takes financially to participate in the program. The Real Estate Radio Network will send them this information directly. We will also follow up with them to ensure that they have all of their questions answered, and if they are interested in participating, we will take care of closing the sale, so to speak. Of course, we have to go through our QC process to make sure that that service provider has a good BBB record and is licensed properly for their profession. Never assume that someone who seems really interested in being a show participant is going to fill out the paperwork. Always proceed as if not until it's signed and in our hands. However, once you have the signed show participant agreement, you have crossed the finish line. Time to move on to the next one so you can eventually become a paid radio show host. This is quite possibly the only opportunity in existence where you get to speak to the masses, advertise your business, and oh yeah, get paid for it? When was the last time you got paid to market your product or service? That's the power of radio, and if you follow this method to a T, it won't be long before you realize this great dream. Like I always say, once you've lived life as a radio show host, you can never go back to being just like everyone else. And remember, there is no such thing as a boring story, only boring storytellers. Have fun on the air, and we'll see you soon. This is Derek Evans for the Real Estate Radio Network.